Welcome back, everyone, to the Horizon Cup, and welcome, Smacks. How's it going, brother?
Yeah, hey, I get to stand up now. I was just sitting over there in the desk for a little while for those two last series. Now I get to stretch my legs. I get to be up here with you, D-Gon. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you. Our next match has another group decider where the winner clinches out the third seed of their group. Now, earlier, Riku got to weigh in on SBTC versus TSM. So, Smacks, I want to hear from you. What do you think the deciding factors will be in that matchup?
It definitely feels like this is going to be a lot around the duo lane. I feel like after the last performance that we saw yesterday, the Ezreal here for SBTC is so huge, and it's unlike any other team that we've really seen out of the Ezreal as well. Kiral pulling this out in all 3 games yesterday. It allows him to play the weak side, and it allows them to integrate more of Unero into this team as well, which otherwise they weren't really doing as much leading up to this series. But as you can see here, they're bringing Unero in more. They're bringing Kiral into the fights on Ezreal in the late game, and I really like this look.
Yeah, I mean, just throughout this matchup here against Tribe, he was constantly skirting around the edges of team fights. It's so much fun to watch here, Riku.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Ezreal really enables that for him to just play front to back, and his positioning has been incredibly prime. I mean, we talked about this at the top of the show where he has been low-key, he's been reliable when it comes to the laning phase, but yesterday he really shined, even almost getting that Quadra over towards the Rift Herald.
Yep. So hopefully he'll be able to continue to get picks like that and continue to look good. Also, as you said, Unero, right? Not only get him involved, but really get his confidence back because he's the substitute that came on in and struggled a little bit early on. Now, finding ways to get into the action without necessarily being a weakness of the team.
Right, and it feels like this tournament has very much been about how they can integrate him, how they can put him onto this team, because the roster move was very recent for them, just coming right into this tournament for SBTC. They came in as one of the favorites when they were rocking their previous roster, and now that he is finding his strides, I think they can sort of climb their way back up and become a favorite again.
All right, so for this early groundwork, we said draft Ezreal, but I know it can't just be as simple as draft Ezreal. So, Riku, what else do SBTC need to do to get on, get a leg up on TSM?
I mean, there is also that different dynamic, right? We saw how they played around Julie, where they were initiating level 3 ganks. They were enabling Akino on the Thresh to see if they can open up opportunities to get, Julie ahead. And we saw the Fizz for the first time, at least for Julie. And he was able to get, 3-minute mark, a Rabadon's death cap, 4-1-0 already. And I think that can be replicated if they draft correctly and if they do want to approach the same thing again.
And Riku, we heard a little bit from TJ earlier about how big this win could be for the region, but I wanted you to put it into context. How much is this actually going to mean for the Southeast Asian region?
I mean, it's insane. We already have Team Secret already at the playoffs. We have 2 slots from SEA. Bring in SBTC. It's definitely going to mean a lot, especially, SBTC had a rough start. So this match is so crucial, again, for getting into that playoffs and for the entire SEA community.
And it also feels like for SBTC, if they can win this one, they're already going to go up against their SEA compatriots in Team Secret if they can get to that 3rd seed too. So very fun matchup if they can win against TSM, of course. They still have to do that.
All right, so what's the opposite side here for TSM, Riku? Because I want to know, how can they raise up, bring the power Brazil to this matchup?
Okay, for TSM, one of my favorite compositions from them is all the circles. Just reliable CC. CC here stands for cool circles, or cruel circles if you die. I mean, you can see in the middle over there. But the theme is point and press click ults all around. Jarvan 4 Cataclysm, Camille Hextech Ultimatum, Galio Hero's Entrance. And if you want to add in another circle, you can imagine it here based on the drawing. You can add in Diana with a Moonfall from Mikey. So it's so easy to pile on and sequence everything together. And I think it's also really good against single threat compositions. If ever SBTC try to put their carry dynamic over to Julie or to just Kirill, you can easily remove whoever is the carry out of the equation. And I feel like this also fits TSM super well, because if you center your composition around Petroni, who's going to pick something with consistent damage like the Lucian, you create so much space for him to work with as an AD carry.
Hey, hopefully the team comps will look as good as that drawing. Smax, I know you want to jump on in there.
The drawing was really nice. And what else is really nice is when Petroni is on the Lucian and is on other marksmen that can skirt around and be sort of a ballerina dancer around these circles. Because as much as TSM can set these up, as much as they can set the death ball composition afloat, it's up to Petroni to be that backline and really make that actually do something. Because step one is bringing everyone around in the circle, and then step two is just hitting that bullseye with the dart.
So then I assume the big matchup for this is going to be the Dragon Lane, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like with Kirill's Ezreal showing from yesterday and with Petroni being a cornerstone of the Venn diagram composition, it is very, very much around that Dragon Lane.
Yeah, and we take a look at the stats here. Both players have been important to their team's success. You can see a little bit more kill participation for Petroni, but dishing out more damage is Kirill, and he's needed to do it because those guys, again, they've been working through those roster changes, but Kirill's success is really the catalyst here for SBTC.
It's really impressive too, because when they were in the SEA region and what they did to qualify for this tournament to begin with was very much around the mid jungle. But with the roster swap and with the sort of struggles in the beginning of the series, it has shifted more to Kirill playing this late game Ezreal. And I for one, really appreciate and am impressed by them that they have managed to bring all this new stuff to a tournament in a very short amount of time.
Well, before we get into our predictions, here's SBTC's TF, who sounds very confident in this matchup against TSM.
Cảm giác mình bây giờ thì khá là vui. Mình cảm giác rất là nhanh cho đến ngày mai để tham gia cuộc đấu sống còn với lại TSM. Khi theo dõi TSM đánh thì mình thấy họ cũng có khá nhiều điểm yếu. Tuy nhiên họ cũng là một đối thủ rất đáng gờm, nhưng mà mình cảm thấy rất là tự tin.
SBTC firmly in the driver's seat for the first time this tournament. They are in the league.
Nếu như vào được vòng tiếp theo thì mình cảm thấy tất nhiên là mình không có đặt ra một mục tiêu cao quá để tự áp đặt bản thân, nhưng mà bọn mình tự tin sẽ cố gắng hết sức để giành ngôi vị cao nhất. Về việc đại diện cho Đông Nam Á thì mình cảm thấy rất là vinh dự. Đây cũng là cơ hội để mình thể hiện cho các đội ở những khu vực khác biết đến nền esports của Đông Nam Á.
You know, it's always a double-edged sword there, the pride of your region, but also the pressure of your region. And so I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on what he said there.
Yeah, I mean, us on the broadcast, we definitely put a lot of pressure on the SEA region coming in. We expected them to be the favorites of the tournament. Turned out that China was a little stronger than we had first expected, but coming in as the second win, I think they can still bring that same pressure and turn it into success for them.
All right, prediction time. Riku, you're up first. SBTC and TSM, two very passionate, powerful regions vying for the final spot, but only one can get through. Who you got?
Okay, I think this matchup is going to be incredibly close. We're looking at Elder Drake fights. We're looking at 50-50 Elder Drake fights, possibly, but I'm going to give it to SBTC 2-1.
Oh, there's the first one. Smax, do you agree or are you going with TSM?
I'm going to go the other way. Woo! I'm going to go with TSM 2-1. I was very impressed by their team fighting, and I think that they have a very solid formula to make it work against SBTC.
All right, well, our first elimination match was very, very close. Let's see if we get another one here. To get us in the action, let's toss it on over to Kangas and Outbound.
Thank you so much, Degon and the desk, everybody. We're getting into it. The elimination match to determine who moves on to the knockout stage to go up against Team Secret. I'm your play-by-play Kangas, but I got Alk on the desk with me. Alk, I got the host. I got to be an analyst. I'm happy that now my first time casting, I get paired with my duo for the Summoner Series. Thanks for being here.
I mean, it's an awesome time. You know, we get all the way from the beginning to the end of the day for groups, right? It's day 5. We're obviously determining the seeding for who is going to be going against Team Secret. And This is a really big roller coaster, right? We're talking about two, I think, different expectations set for these teams coming into the Horizon Cup, and it's been a really beautiful culmination of just all of the different experiences we've seen so far.
The word that you said there, expectations. That's what I want to dive into here as we're getting ready for pick and ban, because expectations were so high for SBTC. I mean, I remember at the top of the show, going into this event, we said they should be tournament favorites. Things did not shake out that way during groups, Al.
No, it did not. SBTC has had a little bit of fumbling that they've been trying to find where exactly their new identity is going to be. And for TSM, this is a LATAM region. Everybody had them maybe barely coming in as third, maybe as fourth, and here they are fighting for their lives to try and get into the knockout stage.
Yeah, I think only one of the analysts had TSM from Brazil making it out of groups in that third seed. And I mean, if they are able to clinch this out against SBTC, this would be a massive story for the team and for the region, and for an opportunity to continue on in the tournament. Now, obviously, we already know Tribe Gaming did not make it in. I did have to shave the beard off for that one. But you know what? Because of that, I think now the battle between SBTC and TSM is just that much more exciting, because we don't have any tiebreaker scenarios. It's just whoever wins this makes it through.
Better team wins. That's all you have to go with.
Wins.
And talking about it, I know TJ had been bringing it up on the broadcast before, but we talk about regionally what these teams were looking like. Vietnam being a powerhouse when it comes to mobile esports, and not being able to make it into the knockout stage. We saw it in the interview with TF. That's a lot of pressure to be dealing with. That's basically the entirety of Vietnam and the SEA region looking at you, looking at them alongside Team Secret to make it out. And this is their last chance to do that.
Especially when coming into this, you know that they had the roster swap in that Baron lane. So this isn't the initial SBTC that we expected to come into the tournament. But you can't use that as a blanket for the entire event, because you look at Thunder Talk with 3 subs coming in, and they took first in their group. So I don't want to give SBTC too much slack here, but I feel like that is part of why they haven't been performing to the extent that we expect. But we are into pick and ban here, Alex, so we get our first look into what these teams have been prepping.
Oh, this will be really fun. Unero has obviously been a pretty big change, but they were a player that they had been testing out throughout the regular season and throughout playoffs in the SEA Icon series. So this is someone that has obviously had a lot of experience with the team and brings something other than what we saw throughout the regular play. So now into this draft, this is what I consider pretty stock standard for a lot of these teams. We're talking about the kind of circle comps that they had brought up on the desk, and we did a kind of
2 circles down. There's one left. There's one left. Just like fan 2.
Jarvan would be a huge flex, and I'm wondering what TF and Julie are going to have as a surprise, because the mid jungle for SBTC have looked fantastic when we see them actually start to run.
And Kiral, of course, like we were highlighting on the desk ahead of time, is now the big damage carry of the team. Ezreal's still on the table. TSM have not banned that away. And honestly, if I'm SBTC, I might just pick that Ezreal Blue 1 at this point. And they go with the Ziggs ban, not the J4. So there's 1 circle left on the table for TSM. Let's see if they want to lock it in, because they do also flex that between their Baron and jungle.
Exactly. I don't know if TSM are going to be the ones to really want to get rid of it. I also want to take a look at what is Unero's champion pool going to look like, right? It's a lot of Darius, it's a lot of Renekton, and it's something that we've seen has been pick or ban throughout the Horizon Cup is Renekton. If they want to go for it, I think that's a really important thing, and obviously just secures that pick for Unero pretty early on.
Exactly, but TSM, they have been willing to leave Renekton up and then pick the J4 into it. So let's see if SBTC actually want to lock that in. They do go for the blue 1 Renekton. Okay, so now TSM, they have that option. Do they want to, for the 3rd time this event, put J4 into that lane?
There's many different options, and Riven made it through. I was actually going to see if TSM were going to pick the Jarvan and then pick up a jungle champion, and I think that now they've offered up a really great answer where you still don't know where this Riven is going, and you're taking a pretty strong AD carry in Varus away from Kiral, who has looked fantastic yet again on it.
Yeah, and also notable that Tatus has not played the Riven yet, so this could still be flexed around. We have seen it a lot in the jungle role throughout the event, though, but it is also a takeaway from TF, because SBTC, in their only wins of the entire tournament against Tribe, they had Renekton and Riven combinations in that top half of the map, so they're already saying, no, we're not going to give that to you this time.
Yeah, Riven has been really disgusting, and we're talking about more AD carries. We're talking about the picks here for SBTC. You're giving a safe positioning AD carry in the Ezreal, and Diana, despite what we just saw in the Thunder Talk series, I'm going to just say I'm going to pretty safely commit to the fact that this is probably just Julie's champion. Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt we'll get the AP Malphite.
Oh,
Out of
yeah.
this
If we get another one of those, I think we're going to have a pretty fun series on our hands.
But again, in one of their wins, TF was piloting that Diana. So again, this does fit into what they have found success with, which hasn't been too much. But overall, they have 3 champs locked in that they have gotten wins with already. TSM answering with the Alistar. They want more hard engage.
Now, TSM, what is their answer, right? Do they just immediately reach for something like the Corki, which we've seen Mikey pilot to awesome success? Or for SBTC, are they going to try and look to deny something? And now this is a Lulu solo lane, which, if you've watched the SEA Icon Grand Finals, SBTC have some experience playing against this kind of champion. It was something that Team Secret brought out against them in the first game. They lost to it, and now we're seeing it yet again.
If this is going on to Mikey, that would be his 8th unique champion across 9 games.
That
Mikey's
scientist.
played an insane number of champs. That's one of the first things I noticed from TSM is that this mid laner, his champion pool is just massive. But we'll hold off because, again, still could be flex depending on what they need. SBTC, they go for that Nunu lock-in for the jungle. So, yes, Diana in the mid lane and back to the Janna. So, Janna, Ezreal, very safe combo in the bot lane. This is, again, where they got their 2 wins.
Janna has just been kind of a breakout pick for the SEA region as a whole, right?
Yeah.
We saw Team Secret and SBTC both pilot to wins yesterday with this champion. I'm pretty impressed. I still want to see a little bit more out of this champion before I want to call it. It's been a little bit mixed bag for me, but Akano has shown to be a really good pilot on it. And even though there's an Olaf on this, I think Janna's really, really good here.
Yeah. Janna can just disengage the Riven, disengage the Alistar, most importantly. A lot of the hard engage that TSM have drafted for themselves. Janna just as one champion kind of disincentivizes that. Also, it's going to be tough to get on that Ezreal anyway. Then, I mean, your other options, maybe Diana is your next biggest focus there to try and burst somebody down. I do like that SBTC are defining what their style is. The Nunu is new. That's something that they haven't drafted yet. But everything else, it's like, now I look at this kind of comp and my brain thinks, oh, this is an SBTC comp.
Yes, for sure. I'm just like looking at this from SBTC. It's great that we get to see this kind of flexibility from them, that they're still trying to play out what they want to do. And on the other side for TSM, this is really big on that mid jungle that we had just talked about a little bit earlier on, right? TF and Julie for SBTC were a powerhouse in their own region and expected to come into this tournament as some of the best duos that we've seen in the Horizon Cup, but really haven't found their footing. And I think up against something where you have a Lulu and an Olaf, it's all eyes on Tethys. Can he have that impact against them, and can he really hold his own against the SEA region?
And when I look at something like a Lulu solo lane, my brain immediately goes to, that's a lane that can give up some farm, give up some resources for an Olaf to then catapult ahead, get even further ahead. So this could just be the Tethys pop-off show here if the Olaf's able to, catch a couple waves, get accelerated in the early game, because you pop that Ragnarok, and it doesn't matter if the Janna has ultimate or the Helen Gale, you can just run past it regardless, and then get onto that backline. Maybe that's the access to that Ezreal that Tribe had struggled to find.
Yes, Olaf, as soon as you see that Ezreal, he's like, oh, I arcane shifted forward, back. He's like, cool, I'm just going to keep running
I'm
at
just
you.
going to throw another axe.
Yeah, I've got Polymorph, I've got all the help picks from Lulu. I'm just going to keep going at you. You really can't get away from me. Oh, you threw up the Monsoon from Janna? Well, it doesn't knock me back. A Ragnarok, go right into your face. Ragnarok roll. So here for SBTC, the thing that I wanted to note against TSM is they've been obviously struggling throughout the Horizon Cup, and right now, obviously fighting for 3rd place. This should be, I think, a kind of a taste test for what we'll see coming into this series, because obviously it's game 1, but we need to see a strong showing from SBTC for, I think, a lot of the fans to regain some of the faith here for this team.
Tournament lives are on the line right now as SBTC and TSM take to the Rift in game number 1 of this best of 3 series. When we look at these kinds of compositions, Alec, I want to set expectations. I want to set kind of a framework of where specific champions spike, and more specifically where team compositions spike. So if you're looking at these 2 teams, who's favored in the early game here?
In the early game, I would like to say that TSM have a lot of great ways to play around solo lanes. Obviously, Mikey gets set up. Lulu is not going to have as much priority in the mid lane, but because it is a melee ranged matchup, there's going to be inherent some ability to poke. And in top lane, it's the first early levels. Renekton can try to do something, but after a few, Sunny should be able to just run over this Renekton.
And actually, it's Sunny getting the better of that trade. already gets flash at Yanero.
The
Although,
Ignite was popped incredibly early here from Unero, so another bad trade, something that we've seen time and time again, Unero being taken advantage of by other Baron laners, and has been a way that other teams have found success being able to play. I think specifically the KT game, or the Rolster game, where we saw Rattel just have a massive pop-off performance.
And now Sunny trying to emulate a little bit of that here. Can try and shove this wave in as Yanero did not get a back off. Now is looking to walking very far back. You're giving a lot of respect to the fact that Tetis was on the top side of the map here. We did see Tetis go into the mid lane, help push out that wave. Mikey gave some farm over there, but it hasn't really accelerated the Olaf too early as now TF, knowing that Tetis is on the top side of the map, we got a little bit of counter.
They're just gonna die. They're just gonna go for it.
No wave though. This is aggressive. Yanero, he doesn't have summoner spells, but he's got the health bar, and Tetis goes down.
Okay, and Mikey just has to blow the flash. He knows that the Diana's coming over the wall, so TSM, they go incredibly aggressive. I don't know how well they were coordinating the wave, but that is a massive mistake in the early game for them.
That is tragic for TSM because the entire time, TF on the Nunu is on the opposite jungle, just taking camps away. Wasn't even needed to stop that gank. So TSM give over first blood. But now, oh, Yanero earned that one in the 1v1, gets another kill.
Okay, and Yanero is trying to put his stamp on this game. He survives the dive. Sunny's not able to land any of the broken wing combo. And TSM back-to-back mistakes coming in the top side. Yanero with, I think, one of the only leads we've seen from him throughout the tournament. This is an early gold deficit that TSM find themselves in, and SBTC are gifted in early game.
And it is a sizable gold differential as well. That is a Black Cleaver completed before 3 minutes here for Yanero. This Renekton very accelerated right now, and we were talking about that matchup and how important it would be for Sunny. Now you're going to be playing on the back foot for probably the next couple of minutes here, hoping that your team can bail you out. Maybe this Lulu can get around the map with the Olaf again and look for another play, but at the same time, like, that's scary. Like, you might just want to play away from this Renekton at this point.
Yeah, and when we're looking at this tournament, right, it has been the talk of the Baron laners. How well can you play around the Baron lane so you can get those Rift Heralds, so you can rotate into this objective? We've seen other players here. They're going to go for it.
Carlito's coming up here saying, I got your back, misses.
Oh!
Flash bulb rise with the headbutt into the wall. Yanero should fall here.
That's one.
Turn one. Sunny almost going down, but now the dive in the bottom lane. SBTC see their opportunity to answer the play, and they will make it a 1-for-1.
Smile and wave, boys. When they overload one side of the map, SBTC, correctly so, play on the opposite side. That has been something that we've been able to see in the regional differences between these two. The East has been really good at being able to answer on the map, make those side lane plays, trade for objectives, and the West really hasn't been able to adapt to that, and that's what I was looking forward to, hopefully here. Rift Herald being taken, they're going to trade for objectives.
That's the interesting thing to note here, Al, because we were just talking about the importance of the strength that this Renekton provides around the Rift Herald, but because of this timer, TSM actually get the Rift Herald for themselves. They also shut down Renekton. That's a steep cost because Dragon goes down as well as the turret for SBTC.
Yes, important also to note there is during those trades, when we saw that from Yanero and Sunny, actually, it looks like we're going to get that coming in. It's X.1 effective. But I kind of wanted to see what happened here. Looks like they just called it away.
That's an engage from Akino. That's the coveted Janna aggressive ultimate right there. You're not going to see those that often.
You know who also did that? Hamez, on the Team Secret roster. He's obviously the general over there, and he was making very similar plays. So the SCA region kind of holding hands, locking arms, and walking in with Janna has wanted to play incredibly aggressively.
Hey, the flash ult engage from Janna, I think every support needs to learn.
I do not need that. Please do not emulate it in these solo games.
I know you do
Challenger
with Smack. If he's listening right now, he's on the analyst desk. Try it out sometime.
Please do not.
Bringing us back in, though, SBTC making a play into the top side of the map. Sunny sees what's happening and backs all the way off. It's going to be big for TSM now as they can dive Yanero, drop this Herald, but I don't think they'll get this turret.
They might just continue this dive. There's no Dominus. There is a Rift Herald, which will take this pretty low. But they're going to reset, they're going to leave this, and take a look across the map here, Kangas. SBTC are fighting in the mid lane. They want to try and grab this, and if they can't, they can move into this top side and start to take away camps. Get a lot of gold here for Julie.
Julie gets this turret. There's nobody here from TSM to answer. Again, SBTC just ahead of these rotational plays. Anytime they see multiple members of TSM somewhere, they overload the opposite side of the map, and they're consistently getting more.
SBTC one thing that we also saw at the beginning of this game that we didn't quite note was the ability for mid lane to move. Now, Mikey has obviously been the first one to say, I'm dropping this wave, I'm moving with Tethys either to the Baron lane or to the bot lane, we're going to look for something. But Julie has kind of stayed stalwart, right? It forced the early flash wave from Mikey on that dive, and that just means now he's getting a lot of concentrated gold into this Diana.
But on the opposite side, TSM are putting their gold into Tethys. The Olaf here gets that solo turret on the bottom side. Very far, or maybe not very far, but ahead of TF in the jungle world right there. This Olaf's going to need to put in work, though, and we haven't quite seen TSM get their full combination together, where they have the Lulu backing up the Olaf to run in towards these scrappy objective fights. They really only pulled off that one play in the top lane when Unera was over push. So I'm waiting. What's TSM's going to do?
This feels a little weird, right, Kangas? TSM have put themselves on a timer here, and Olaf is not the farming jungler that we've seen other teams find when we're talking about those jungle carries, right? We're talking about Fiora, Riven, Jax as well, Graves, like you just said. Olaf can farm pretty efficiently and pretty fast. When you look at Nunu, you're about to consume, you do it incredibly quickly. It's not a jungler that I assume with trying to fast farm the jungle via carry is. Julie, let's see what you can do.
Headbutt, pulverize, nicely set up by Carlito, but Julia actually dancing around this with the Moonfall and the Flash, but falls regardless. TSM, that tanky Alistar can tank turret for so long, and they finally get a play.
Important there for Julie. He clears the wave, which means that now TSM, they miss out on a timer to take a top tier 1. And this means that now SBTC, playing on the opposite side of the map like we've noted, they now have access to an inhibitor turret.
My goodness, every single time. TSM's on 3 members to take down Julie, and Julie just buys so much time for the rest of SBTC that they get that tier 2. And like you said, there's an inhibitor turret available now. If SBTC win a big fight at Dragon with their wave already pushed, I mean, that's already like getting to game end situation here at 8 minutes in. They don't have a massive gold lead, but just where the map state currently is, with this Dragon spawning in 10 seconds here, things are looking dicey for TSM.
This mid-tier 1 for TSM is going to be the lifeblood for this game. If they can control this mid-tier 1, they can still have access into the river, but as soon as they lose that, with the way that the bot lane is kind of structured right now, this Dragon might just be where TSM tries to call their shot for the game. If they can't get this, there's another Rift Herald, and they haven't shown a big inclination so far in the Horizon Cup to go for this.
They got all 5 members grouped. They have priority in the mid lane, but they've lost it in the bottom lane. Again, I keep looking at that one. Julie goes down there and just shoves it out, and SBTC are playing so patiently. They're not committing to this Dragon yet because they're respecting the engage potential of this Alistar, and instead say, look, we're going to wait till somebody's split off from the rest of the team and then go for it. But maybe waiting a little too long. I mean, you could still just look for this Rift Herald instead. So SBTC, this is, I guess, kind of the negative side of their comp, is they don't necessarily have a massive engage tool of their own. This is what, like, the Janna Ezreal is good about. It's kiting away from the enemy's engage.
Thankfully, because they're ahead, they don't actually need to do anything. This is a losing play for TSM, where if they can't do anything, if they can't find an engage, SBTC will just choke them out. So here, they just have to go for this. TSM have to commit. Carlito!
You gotta look for Julie on the flank here. Carlito goes forward. The rest of TSM just trying to bulldoze their way through TF, but Julie's on the flank with the Moonfall on the carries! And as well, Unero joins in. SBTC, they had the setup for the fight, they had the patience, and a double kill to Unero. Give him the triple as well. Doesn't even fall to the turret. SBTC dominate the fight.
Unero says, I'm not Minas, and that doesn't matter. I'm good enough to hold my own here on the Horizon Cup. Finds a triple kill and helps his team to an early victory here. It's 10 minutes, but SBTC, they got a massive teamfight victory. They got the tier 1 turret in mid lane, and now TSM, they're gonna have to scramble for some kind of cheat code to get back in.
Yeah, they are so far behind. It was pretty even up until that point. I believe they were only 2, maybe 3K behind. And you look at the engage of Carlito, but again, the Ezreal just shifts away.
Yep. They're all completely untouched, and it's the team fights that brought this team to the Horizon Cup in their own region. It was Kiral having fantastic positioning and that maxing out on DPS. We get to see here playing right on the edge of danger for SBTC, and TSM whimper away from the fight. They lose the Drake. They're also going to now lose this Herald. And this is signs of that SBTC that people were expecting coming into this tournament.
It's a different look from what I expected when I was doing prep with other analysts, with other casters. I heard SBTC, they'll fight you, they'll be aggressive. This isn't necessarily that same look. It, again, is very much, we want you to engage into us, and then we're going to outplay you with things like the Ezreal, things like the Janna. But it's working. It seems like SBTC have found the style, finally, that can get them wins at the Horizon Cup.
And Smacks also pointed it out on the desk, right? It's that Ezreal being unable to engage, and with so little tools to really lock down this champion, being far behind doesn't give you many luxuries in being able to kind of play it back, play it safe. Now they need to just look for flash engages, so watch for key summoner spells. Once they start to come up for TSM, those are the miracle Hail Marys that they're going to have to look for.
It's going to be off of Carlito, maybe Petroni. Petroni throws it out. Oh, they locked down Kirill. Flash away, has the stasis, heals available, but you can't get away from that Olaf. We talked about the importance of it. Finally, TSM find the carry, but did they extend too far? Titus goes down, and now SBTC with the engage of Julie. They just have too much damage. It doesn't matter that the Ezreal's gone. The rest of the team is that far ahead. They're diving between turrets right now, and TSM are struggling to get back to their base. The Herald's down. SBTC are making the push.
Look at how much distance Kirol put between him and the rest of TSM. It forced Teti to go right into the back line, but by the time this is happening, Akano with the huge monsoon saves his team, and Julie, one of the best mid laners in the tournament, finally shows up and is able to then come in, clear out that team with the Moonfall.
Julie has had 2 massive Moonfalls already in this game 1, and also had a very impressive performance against Tribe earlier in the week. So, I mean, TSM, they need to be reeling right now, thinking, okay, what went wrong in this game? And also, maybe we got to consider not leaving things like the Ezreal and the Diana up, because SBTC just looks so comfortable. But it all starts, actually, of all things, with Petroni engaging here, finding the perfect chain.
They were trying to find CC, but look at that. It's Arcane Shift, it's Flash away, and look at the rest of his team. Yes, that he finally finds this kill, but with TF on this new being so tanky, the absolute zero, and alongside that Monsoon reset, it sets up for these solo laners of SBTC to just completely take control of the fight. And they're so far ahead, they can play with their walls a little bit, they can dive turrets.
It's like, Kirol, I know you looked at that 28% damage so far for the team, but it's Yanero doing the damage this time. So picking the Ezreal almost doesn't even mean anything. He's just like the distraction. So Yanero can pop off right here as SBTC, even Julie pushing in on the bottom lane here. It's just Mikey who cannot handle a Diana at this point in the game. SBTC, they're 11k up. It's just a cakewalk to close out this game. I mean, Baron's on the table. TSM, they're going to have to find a desperation play after desperation play to come back. And they're into a death rush. SBTC, they set it up and they catch TSM, but a nice engage coming in from Carlito. Maybe TSM
Julie's
can turn
here.
it. They have a nice front to back, but Julie on the back line. Flashes are used. TSM, they're trying to get around, and they actually pick up the first kill of the fight. They're going to trade up. That's a 2 for 2 right there. TSM, you'll take that, but maybe Kirill can find more. Very low health bars for TSM. They will have to disengage.
Julie not being there means that they're going to lack damage. It's going to take a pretty long time for them to chew through the high HP bars of TSM. And when you take an even trade like that, that is a winning position for TSM. Now, when you look at this, they're going to get the Dragon, and then they're going to be able to redeploy, and it's going to be so important for TSM to set up vision for Baron.
Man, Carlito, they didn't want to engage on the Alistar because they know that they're not going to kill the cow, but they see everybody else. But then they just allow Carlito to reposition here. And I think Carlito's the thing that saves this fight for TSM.
It's pretty massive, right? We're talking about how big Carlito has been in his team's success. We're looking at the Galio for this guy. He's just been fantastic on a couple of these engaged champions. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can get. And again, they kept Kirol out of the fight. They had Akano trying to play like bodyguard against Sunny, who's in the backline with this Rivet. It's kind of annoying to deal with, yes. But again, this is SBTC still in the lead, still in control of this game. And look at this, TSM, they know, move into river, get vision, and just try to stop SBTC from starting on the Baron.
Yeah, that Baron's on the table, and you know that SBTC are prepping. How do we set this up? Right now it's Julie pushing in the bottom lane for a reset as well, and now Sunny will have to answer that one. TSM, they don't have a single teleport picked up on their team. This was the team that we knew would take teleports proactively and try and use them, but now they're going to have to find ways to contest this Baron without any teleports.
Super strange. I mean, so one thing, you know, kind of a little bit off topic, I will admit.
Okay, let's go.
Mikey, take a look at this build, everybody. This is coming in from the Wild Tour. They were known for doing some different stuff when it came to builds, also some different things. He has a Fimbulwinter, which is definitely strange. We would have thought we would have seen maybe a Seraph, which would have helped with shielding and being able to survive, but it actually ended up going for this kind of build now. We'll see the validity of it. I personally would have loved to have seen the Seraphs, but Mikey still showing off that Brazil flair in some of the builds.
Still showing off the champ pool as well. Again, you know, 8th unique champion out of 9 games here. That's crazy, but far up here. The rest of TSM are joining in. Sunny's trying to lock him down in the 1v1 right now. Redemption used. Mikey's here, but the rest of SBTC have rotation as well. Everybody except for Arrow, and now they're just going to go for the fight here. TSM, they have a numbers advantage. They're going to have to do something here quick. Carlito goes in, but the rest of the team goes out. And Arrow's just taking a turret for free because of this. TSM did not commit to the fight, and they lose an inhibitor turret for it.
SBTC, they keep them enticed so that their top laner can just push in for an inhibitor. And look at this now. They're going to go attack for this Baron and draw TSM over. You need to deal with this top wave that will have super minions spawning in, and we will be able to threaten for the end.
All game, Alec, SBTC have been controlling the map. TSM are always on the reactive plays, or when they go for their own proactive play, SBTC get more elsewhere on the map, and that has been consistent for the entire 17 minutes here. I love this look for SBTC, the team that has not been living up to expectations, but now surging here in the group stage. Baron's down half health, and is Julie just going to take the 1v1? Julie 1v1 Sunny.
It's a steal.
Carlito goes for the engage. Steal does not come through. TSM, they're going to have to fight their way out of this one now because they're in the pit. They've committed to the fight. Tetis has the Lulu ultimate. Will get one back, but now over the wall, Kirill's chasing down the rest of TSM with the double kill. Get the triple kill. Do you go for the quadra to set up? Julie might just end the game before we even get there, but says no. I'll give it to him. I will not end the game. Give him the quadra kill. Mikey's denying it, but the Nexus will not be. And SBTC will take game 1 of the series.
Kirill already got a couple of quadra kills in their last series. Maybe they don't want to ruin that stat. They want to keep it on just this Ezreal for right now.
Last time, Kirill almost got a pentakill, and Yanero stole that one from him. This time, Julie was trying to play bro. Be like, no, I'll teleport away. I'll get rid of the Baron buff for the minions. I won't end the game. We'll get you that quadra, but unfortunately, the minions were a little...
It was close, but I just want to take a note. I know we're off of the game now, and we get to see all the players kind of walk off the stage. This is huge for SBTC as a whole. The fact of the matter is that Yanero just had probably his best game, 100%, without a doubt.
The entire week.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was insane.
Last day of groups, if we're talking about best time to show up, it's now, right?
Exactly.
You want to be looking good going into knockouts, and even though they'll be going up against their countrymen in Team Secret, that is still really, really encouraging to see if you're a fan of the SEA region.
Especially because Yanero's been the member of SBTC that, when you look at Twitter, you look at social media, has been receiving the majority of the criticism and a statement performance now. No one's coming at Yanero after this game because that was an insane level performance. A 1v3! And he got a counter kill in the top lane. That was nuts.
Yes, but... You know, if we're reeling it back a little bit, I know, very hype that we got to see Yanero do this kind of thing, but it is one game sample size.
True.
We need to see this a little bit more. We need to see it consistently happen before we start to, I think, really start to cash in on those hype tickets.
Well, SBTC feeling good after their game 1. Let's send it over to the crew in Singapore, though, to get their thoughts on the performance.
SBTC feeling good, and so are their fans after that Game 1 victory in the series.
I mean, what is there to say? We came into this event saying SBTC, they were going to be the best team in the world. I know it's just a one-game win so far, but this is it. This is how it starts. Tribe Gaming yesterday, now TSM. SBTC, they are back, baby.
They made y'all sweat with it, though. You had to work for that fandom.
I'm just glad I don't have a beard to lose.
Yeah. Well, look, I need y'all to know, though, we have been monitoring heart rates at this point, taking a look after every play for our casters here. But, okay, with all that being said, though, SBTC coming out on top in game number 1, but TSM did come through with some tools at their disposal, just looking at their comp alone.
I really like the draft coming in from TSM. It's reminiscent of one of the drafts we saw yesterday from Tribe Gaming to enable the Olaf in a very good spot to take over the game. Unfortunately, the draft is just half of the battle. You need to execute well on it in game as well, and I think that's where TSM kind of faltered.
And I think the specifics of where the execution comes in is going to be on the Olaf. It's on the person that's running and piloting this champion that can ignore a lot of crowd control, just get into your backline, but they weren't able to get that happening.
The world is your oyster, right?
Wanting to make those plays around top, but there was such a critical lens on Unero coming into this tournament, and he was performing admirably in this game.
Yeah, he had a slow start. He nearly got taken down by Sunny on that ribbon, so that props to Sunny as well. But Unero, I think, very good presence of mind in this game to recognize what he needed to do, where he needed to be, and the way he navigated the team fight together with his teammates. I think this is a really good run of form for Unero recently. The Renekton has been a huge pick for him, and I don't want you guys to forget, before Minus came in and started popping off for SBTC, Unero was the starter for this team for a reason.
And the team playing around him very effectively in this game too, when he was getting focused top, still managing to make plays elsewhere on the map.
Exactly. I think the fact that they've been prioritizing this Ezreal for SBTC kind of leans into the idea that SBTC are trying to push for a hyper carry for Kiro, making sure they have an insurance plan in case things don't go their way. But, you know, just look at the composition. There was a world where we said, if Unero pops off, that game is pretty much done and dusted for SBTC side.
And some risky plays taken by them too. The kill brush put in full effect, but I do want to give some props over to the mid laner as well. Julie on that pick, just making sure to set up effectively for the team in the fights.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the game as well, we saw Julie being the man navigating the side lanes, pushing the waves in to close out the game on the Nexus. I think Julie's understanding of where he needed to be at every moment has been very on point this game. And I want you guys to go back, rewatch that game, look at the minimap, and see how Julie approached every single team fight. Picture perfect stuff from him.
And if we're thinking about a lot of the players that came into the Horizon Cup as focuses, people thinking, oh, who is the favorite, who's the best? I think TF is one that also came up in that conversation as well. How do you feel that he is falling in line with his potential as a player?
I think it's amazing. I think TF coming into this was expected as someone that was going to be incredibly aggressive. Stuff like the Lee Sin was definitely up his wheelhouse. Stuff like the Graves. The fact that they're playing Nunu, and I have a specific thought about Nunu, but the fact that he's playing a more supportive role for this team is also a very interesting look for SBTC overall.
It's great, right? It shows faith in your team. It shows trust in your players to deliver. And hold on a second. SBTC are walking past right now. Let's go, SBTC!
True fandom here from our analysts. They got places to go there on the stage. But Omo, where do we got to go?
Well, we got to go right back to the State Farm analyst desk.
Omo, it's like you're a professional there. I was almost not ready for that toss. You did a great job. All right, time for the Cisco. Every second counts. And this time, it's SBTC's Carol with the quick arcane shift away that led to the team fight.
This was so crucial from him. You just saw it right there. He got to arcane shift outside of the Heba Pulverize for Carlito. And while it wasn't him who ended up with all the glory, Unero picks up a triple kill. It is him who gets to stay alive, stave off all of the engaged threat from this. And oh look, we get this nice slow-mo here. Look at this. Arcane shift. Oh, that's so clutch right there.
Yeah, it was
And the fact that he also dodged the chain of corruptions as well on top of that. Therefore, you know, we got to see TSM using a lot of their abilities just to try and catch Kirill, but boop, he just goes out with the arcane shift.
Yeah, I love that. Again, Cisco's every second count there. And I do want to move on over to just one quick point on Unero, right? I know the casters hit on it, and I know that the analysts over in Singapore also said it feels good to see the team play around him, you know, the Nunu pick that came out to support the Renekton. But to have Unero be under so much scrutiny and pressure for being a swap and then stepping up, that's a story that anyone can get behind, regardless if it's sports or work or esports. That's always such a great feeling, and it's good to see. So Riku, I know one thing that you wanted to talk about was the macro play of SBTC.
Yeah, I want to touch upon, just as you mentioned, you know, Unero, again, had this instance. He was all alone at the top portion of the map where Tetis and Sonny was ready to dive him. And what he did, just cleared the wave, see where he can work from there if there's an outplay potential. And I think it all just landed in dominoes. You know, we're talking about the macro where every time TSM decides to dive, SBTC exchanges with more towers, even the second tier tower down at the bottom lane. So whenever TSM makes a move, the Vietnamese squad is always 3 steps ahead. Unera ahead, meaning that he gets to join fights more, and they're putting Julie on towards the side lanes. So that's less map space for TSM to work with. So I really love the decision making from micro, from Unero to macro decision as a whole squad.
All right, well, SBTC on the cusp of qualifying on through. Can TSM catch up? We'll find out. Let's toss back on over to Kangas and Alk Battery for game 2.
Thank you, Digon and the desk. SBTC up 1-0 in this series, 1 win away from challenging their rivals in Team Secret in the knockout stage here, and TSM will need to find 2 wins in a row. So, Alk, I want to give this one to you from TSM's side. If we're looking at it from the team that's behind right now, how are they going to come back in this series?
Oh, TSM have, you know, coming just as a LATAM team, have always had that kind of fire, had that spark. They obviously had a grueling game 7, best of 7 to just get here from the Wild Tour. I expect this team to try and at least go for something, but this is also a team that has had, you know, pretty long series all throughout their bouts throughout the Horizon Cup. They've taken a game off of Rolster. They obviously took a full series up against Tribe. So we're looking at them trying to really push some of the better teams in this tournament so far, obviously against Rolster. I expect coming in here that TSM, we see something. Now, Blue Side has not obviously been their cup of tea. They've been very heavily favored on Red Side. So now here, I wonder what their strategy is going to be, what this mix-up is going to be.
Blue 1 pick is so powerful, but you're right, oftentimes they'll leave up things like that Renekton and then try and counterpick them instead. But they're at least adapting some of their draft, taking away that Riven. They do not want to see that one here. So it's TF, Senna, and Riven bans from TSM. And it's the full circle ban from SBTC. There you go. There you have it. No circles will be available for this team.
Riku and Sam are incredibly sad.
Yeah.
We were talking about the draft, right? Like, what are they going to ban? Because it was going to be, obviously the Riven was super impactful. They've gone and picked up the Fiora for themselves, and we were wondering if Ezreal was going to be a champion that is kind of next on the pool.
I thought Ezreal would be contested here. Fiora has not been played by TSM. Neither Sunny nor Tetris has picked that one up, but Ziggs has pretty much been banned throughout the entire event. That's left up this time around, so SBTC get 2 power picks in the Renekton and the Ziggs. TSM's gonna have to make that Fiora worth it.
Yes. And now for SBTC as well, right? We're talking about the 80 carry picks. It looks like Petroni is going to go for this Varus. Are they going to try and pick up Carlito's champion? No. They're going to pick up Mikey's Diana. And this Ziggs, you might think, Julie's the only one that can play it right now. This is a flex for SBTC, so they can actually hold themselves pretty accountable here if they want. They can try to give some more counterpick or go ahead and pick up what they want for Julie since they know the matchup.
Love this for TF though. The Lee Sin locked in from SBTC. The most played champion for TF throughout the event here and has had some crazy highlight plays on that. And Gragas is paired with it. So presumably, I'm guessing maybe a Ziggs Gragas lane, hold that counterpick for Mikey, but like you said, they can still flex that Ziggs around depending on what TSM locks in here.
Yes, TSM, what are you going to go for in the support role? We've seen Galio been obviously really impactful for Carlito, and they're going to pick the Jax. We don't know where this is going quite yet. These are a bunch of champions we haven't seen a lot from TSM, the Fiora and the Jax, whichever role they decide. This is a completely different style and kind of mimicking some of what we've seen from some of the other top teams where a lot of focus is going to that Baron in the jungle.
This looks like a Darkroom draft from here,
yeah,
from
actually.
TSM right here. And they go with the Thresh, Carlito, locking in that one. Now, I know he's been memed a little bit. Anything other than his Galio played. Hasn't played the Thresh yet. And I'd say the Alistar was actually pretty good. And that was the first time Alistar for Carlito as well. So TSM, overall in this series, are showing a very different look, very different champion pool than they showed us throughout the group stage. Maybe they've been holding this in the tank. Maybe this is their final Hail Mary, saying, okay, there's no way they prepped for this.
Well, you need to. You need this, right? Yeah. Because this is your last chance. You can't just hold your cards until the next international event. But we're talking about holding strats.
Yeah, the Yasuo locked in here for SBTC. Now, If you come from the PC League of Legends, Yasuo Gragas has been a lane. I'm curious if that's possible in Wild Rift as well. It doesn't look like they're going for that as they put Julie on the Yasuo, but I was holding out. I thought maybe we'd get it.
You thought you would see it. I'm glad we're not because, you know, we've seen Yasuo have really mixed success here at Horizon.
I believe it's rocking a 0-7 record right now.
Yeah, you know, pour one out for all the Yasuo players in solo queue. They're in pain. They're just straight up crying in Twitch chat, probably saying, guys, our champion needs buffs, right? Please.
No, all the pros did this on purpose so that players would look at that and be like, oh, I should play Yasuo in solo queue because they're
Just
doing
like,
it for us.
yeah, I guess, just like in its win rate here, you're either going 7-0 or 0-7. Right now, we are seeing the downside of that coin. It would have been cool. Obviously, the level 5 power spike is going to be there, but a lot of knockouts here for SBTC, and enabling the mid-jungle 2v2 I think is really, really important.
Exactly, that's the thing. Yasuo follows up incredibly well on knock-up engage. Gragas provides that with the explosive gas, and Lee Sin provides that with the Dragon's Rage. Both of those can also be very good defensive tools. They're both incredible kite back abilities too, so TSM, yet again, even though it's a different style of, you know, kite back comp here from the side of SBTC, it almost feels like they have equal number of tools, and we saw how difficult it was for TSM to get onto them in that game one.
Yes, SBTC, they have an ability to team fight, but a lot of this draft is centered around making picks, right? As soon as you have that last breath, you can catch one person out with an explosive cast, boom, they're gone. Ziggs, same way. You can tend to those side lanes. I love the Ziggs here. I know it was a little bit earlier into the draft, but the wave clear that was going to come out from SBTC was really, really lacking. And I like this not only to attend to a potential side lane, but also just granting mid-priority as we get further into the game.
And I want to bring us back to TSM on the blue side. What did they prioritize for blue one? Fiora. Fiora's going to need to get rolling in this game for sure, and it is Sunny piloting that champion into Yanero's Renekton, who just had an incredible performance. But backs against the wall, TSM have loaded onto the Rift opposite SBTC Esports. They'll need to find 2 wins in a row here to make it to the knockout stage. SBTC feeling pretty comfortable as they already group up to push this mid lane.
They want to just get their top laner ahead. Yanero is going to be the one to make the first lead from the mid lane. But looking at this TSM comp, they have a lot of late game scaling here, right? Diana's in this composition. You also have the Jax and Fiora, which if TSM can get off to, you know, an even start, you suddenly have this 1-3-1 that is going to be kind of unanswerable from SBTC.
And I mean, the Varus pretty decent at just catching mid waves as well, and then you have the Thresh Lantern to get you out to safety if you need, so it's going to be tough for SBTC to lock down that Varus in the mid lane. I mean, maybe. The explosive gas is still pretty long range, so plus Yasuo, it's still good pick potential. But TSM, their best case scenario, like you said, try and play to the side lanes.
If SBTC don't find any kind of team fights or are not able to kind of get into an engaged spot, TSM are more than happy with letting this game run a little bit longer on the clock and playing for taking more of those turrets, whittling it away as we go. So making sure that Corral is set up for success. Yanero?
Good trades.
That's a lot of damage coming out from Sunny, forcing into early recall. Does he stay for this wave? It'd be pretty massive.
Yeah, find something here. Oh, beautifully set up. Oh, that was all Cural right there. Throwing out the explosive charge, knocking away Petroni so we can't grab the lantern. Nice stuff.
I know the people over in Singapore talked about it. I know the analyst desk over there got to hint at it a little bit, but TF on Lee Sin, you just don't do it. It's just one of the things you do not give over to this guy. He will just smurf on you and just make it unplayable.
And watch what Cural does here again, because like this is a pretty direct counter to Thresh.
Tries to go for the, I mean, that's just incredibly clean play. Puts the satchel bomb right on top of it and blows it up. Now Julie trying to fight for mid priority, trying to at least force a summoner spell away from Mikey.
You know, that makes me think, Alk, are we gonna see Cural set up for a last whisper here? Or a last breath from Julie?
It is possible. It's something that you may not be like, if you have to be really keyed in on, you have to be paying attention to that, and if TSM are watching the micro, it is something that we could see.
Oh, maybe TF just flashes early, flash response from Mikey, and there's also response from Tetis here. The Jax full health. TF does need to walk away. I like the attempts though from SBTC.
Look at how obnoxious that this can be on this Jax though, right? You try to go in, you safeguard in, he's just going to follow you. Leap strike, counter strike, everything is going to make it very difficult for SBTC to deal with this Jax in a fight.
If Mikey had mana right there, I thought he was going in for the engage onto Julie, but didn't quite. So resets coming through for pretty much all members right now, as the objectives will spawn in a little under a minute now. And Sunny actually is not taking the best of these trades against Nero here. It looks like SBTC might be prioritizing the top side of the map. TF's rotating up there, so let's see if the Lee Sin sticks around for the Herald or tries to rotate towards the Dragon.
Look at this, Mikey already in the bot lane to answer for this, and they have the bot lane duo of TSM moving to ascertain mid priority.
This is also up here. Dominant spot from Unero. Sunny still has the grand challenge, but they're not going to go for it. Okay, so that's just Dominus down. This should leave TSM with an advantage for the Herald fight.
They didn't get anything. It's still 20 seconds, so thanks to how small the map is on Wild Rift, how fast everybody can move around. Obviously, Fiora also has her dashes she can use to get around places a little bit faster. They should be able to get onto the map. Now, for SBTC, they're recalling really late for this. They're not going to have first say onto the Rift. Akino is going to do his best of trying to get maybe a scuttle here, but we see TSM, they're starting up the Rift Herald. This is something we don't see often from them. They're 8th in Herald control in the Horizon Cup and 10th in Dragon control, in First Dragon.
But SBTC might not give it to him.
Is he gonna steal it?
They're going for it. They kick into the Yasuo ultimate. The setup, the dunk down. Julie popping off in this team fight. The Lantern Throne Tactics does get out, but the rest of TSM, they've overcommitted into the fight already, so SBTC, they're just going to clean it up. Grand Challenge issued, but Sunny's in a 1v2, and Unero picks up that kill as well.
SBTC, they get the leash, they get all of the kills, they say thank you, next. Immediately setting themselves up for some more top dominance. They've killed everybody, and now they're going to also get this turret with the wave incoming.
Wow.
This is a huge start for SBTC.
Massive influx of gold off of that one play. It was an even state up until then. If anything, I thought TSM might have that chance because Unero didn't have that dominance. But as we take a look at the X Effect replay here, SBTC, look at the setup from TF.
Oh my, this is just wonderful. It's the last second of the ultimate for the Dragon's Rage kick into Julie, and the rest of his team is just kind of stuck in the river to die. TSM not able to answer and able to cleanly cordon off the Rift Herald pair.
Yeah, the desk over in Singapore was talking about TF. Has he been playing up to expectation? Well, this is an example of the highlight reel that will be built around the TF plays here from this event alone. I mean, that was just a thing of beauty right there. And now SBTC 3,000 gold ahead with this team composition. They're in a really comfortable position to close out this game.
Now they can control all of the choke points, right? It's about controlling the river from here on out. They're going to make this play.
Dive. Yeah, nice kick.
Say goodbye, Sunny.
Sunny, back to the turret. Actually survives.
Nope, we're diving again.
Very
Fight,
low.
boys.
Grand challenge issued. TF, you take that? No way! Akino with the flash body slam follows up. I love this gameplay.
And SBTC, they play safely around the top side while this play is going on. Renekton backs up. Unero says, look, I am the play currently. Ziggs is going to come to try to help out with this wave.
No way.
Clear it.
Unero's going into a 1v3 aggressively and maybe a little too aggressively. The Ziggs bomb was used to help back up, but still, kill picked up for TSM.
I like the idea of the play from SBTC, but TSM are able to punish. They go to try to clear the wave. They use the Ziggs ultimate to try to go for it. Dominus is there trying to give Unero a little bit of a cushion in terms of HP, but it's not enough. TSM are able to punish, get some plates, get a kill on their side of the map. And it's, you know, it's
something.
It's something, but they still lose out on the other side of the map.
And if you look at, again, the global plays here, they don't have priority in this top lane. They can finally get a wave to crash in that bottom wave, but SBTC, despite the fact that they're being a little more active, a little more aggressive with this team composition, they're still controlling the map so much better than TSM.
TSM, they need to be able to get into the map first. They need to enter a river to have access to it. Yes, they have some really great disengage tools in the form of the Jax, Fiora, and the Thresh, but other than that, they need to force the issue onto SBTC.
SBTC raising the faith from their region right now. They were looking shaky in their first two matches. The only team going into day 3 without a win, but now with plays like this, they're coming back. Alec, this is beautiful. SBTC, they might look for the mid turret. They have the Ziggs bomb, not quite enough.
Oh my god, Carlito saves Petroni, just barely able to get that. And their turret doesn't go down. If Petroni goes down, I assume that SBTC will just race to finish off that turret. But incredible play coming out from this board from TSM. And we had talked about this draft for TSM. They want this game to go late, but with the deficit that they find themselves in, now they need to be able to pivot in their ability in this game as to what they want to do.
And look at the map state, look at what's up. 10 seconds till Rift Herald, every wave shoving for SBTC. Maybe Yanero gets caught. TSM are committing 2 members down here. Yanero's buying some time, but does fall. But the rest of SBTC, they're resetting, running right for that objective. TSM, they're not even gonna get it.
Great punish from TSM. Yanero staying out onto the map, trying to maybe find an exit after pushing that wave. It shouldn't result in much, right? We have them already starting up SBTC this Rift Herald, and TSM, their timers are not on right now. They didn't move for this first. They weren't able to go for that, and it looks like they're going to try and stake their claim on this dragon.
Ooh, interesting thing I just noticed there. Mikey picked up the Zonias and then sold it, or rather undid it and got the teleport instead. This is the look from TSM, the proactive teleport plays. They might just go for one right here.
Oh.
Fate of Corruption misses onto Akino. They will get a turret, but the rest of SBTC are nearby as well. Do they actually want to go for the CF's over wall onto Mikey and right back over? Just playing with them right now. Carlito misses the death sentence, hit by another Sonic Wave, and that's a kill! That's a pick for SBTC.
That's ultimates down. That's a few summoners specifically from TF, but TSM, this should be their call saying, hey, we can't actually contest for this. SBTC get to control both sides of the river. They get to then lose themselves. Yes, a turret for TSM, but they're just, everything is gone. Without those chains of corruptions, there's not much proactive engage coming out from TSM.
Another Dragon SBTC, still with a 6,000 gold lead right now. And they might even look to siege another turret right here. TSM, they have
Herald
first top side. So with Herald, this could be a push, potentially even for an inhibitor turret there. Yeah, we see now Ted is finally going for a back.
Look at this. They can't do anything in mid lane. There's not a wave here, so some of that attention is lacking. But, I mean, Mikey, what is he going to do?
Age, I don't think so. Just CC'd for days. Can't even get the moonfall off. Finally does, but there's no follow-up from the rest of the team.
Akino with a miracle exhaust right there. Completely turns that play around. Mikey may have been able to find access to the back line. Unero.
Petroni just gets picked up right there. The killing spree for Julie, and SBTC are playing with their food right now. I mean, at this point, this is such a dominant performance here, but TSM, they haven't given up yet. They want to commit for it, and they'll find Yanero. Julie now very far forward, no wave to dash to. Sunny's here, trying to catch him. Julie with the knockup though. Akino cannot save the mid laner, and now they must be in a compromised position too. Everybody from SBTC, they're just running it one at a time. And now it could be in some trouble. Akino does get away. TSM do not want to continue chasing.
The solo laners here for SBTC, they walk in one by one. TF is going to try and make the difference here.
Oh, he's going for it. Waits. The riposte comes out. Actually did throw out the Dragon's Rage, so it gets stunned. All right, it looks like we have a lull as TSM will go for reset.
Okay, huge pickups though. More kills in their back pocket for TSM. A little bit of breathing room now, right? We'll get some gold in your back pocket. Try to finish some really important items for TSM. But SBTC still in control. And I want to kind of talk about what we've seen from this team as their kind of gradual rise to power here in the Horizon Cup. We saw from Thunder Talk kind of building this team as we've gone throughout the tournament, and SBTC finally have kind of found that voice for themselves.
Exactly, and this is a different style than what they got their first 3 wins on.
Yes.
It's no longer the Ezreal Jhin. This is a much more aggressive comp, and maybe too aggressive as TF. Very far forward, Tentis follows up. Grand Challenge issued into the stasis. The rest of SBTC are here to try to back him up. TF still alive, still fighting. The exhaust comes through, but Tentis on a rampage finds one. Now Sunny looking for more, finds Kiril. This is the play for TSM. A double kill for Tentis and a double kill for Sunny. If you can take down Akino right here, very low health bar, but it's the triple for Tentis instead. TSM with a massive play.
You were thinking SBTC with how aggressive they're playing, with how easily they can close out this game. This should have been their game to win, but we gave TSM the late game scaling, and they're going for it right now. We're seeing mistake after mistake, and TSM are playing around this perfectly. Look at how they're able to use the Counter-Strike. The jungle and top laner here for TSM just completely making a massive difference for their team.
Yeah, TF got a little feisty there. That's one of those Sonic. That's not going on the highlight reel after this tournament. Nope. That one we will omit. Maybe that'll go at the end, you know, as the blooper reel. But what a turnaround from TSM here. They were so far behind, but now only 3,000 gold behind, like you said, with the scaling comp. This is now looking like a game state that they can start to feel more comfortable with.
Look at the jungle right now. Tetis has finally broken the threshold where he is ahead of TF. Is now
6-0-2.
farming, and this is a huge difference from the Olaf, right? The Olaf, really all he can do is sit champion, kill champion. Whereas Jax, he can farm. He can be very safe in a side lane, and now has 3 items compared to this TF. Should be a powerhouse as we get further into the game. SBTC, they're going to have to try and find picks. As you see, find the Death Brush, look for something, make this dragon into a fight position for them.
But this time it's TSM with the global plays. They have Sunny in that top lane. It's Yanero going to answer. I don't think Yanero can actually win that 1v1. Pops the Dominus and it will look for it. Yanero's hard committing for this. Grand Challenge is issued. Dominus is used and Sunny is not winning that. All right, Yanero still popping off on the Renekton here. As Dragon started up, SBTC, 4 members on it. They don't have Yanero here, and Sunny
Patroni's not here.
Join in. They go for the fight instead. It's only onto 1 member, though. TSM, they're trying to fight back. They don't get the first kill, though. It's SBTC turning it around. That's a shutdown on the Tetis, and I think that SBTC, they can just run through with this one now. Nobody's on Patroni. Nobody's peeling the Varus. It's just the support Gragas running him down. As Carlito now, the only member left other than Sunny, who's trying to push the mid wave. That was a massive win for SBTC.
That's Baron for SBTC, and finally yet another team fight for them where they just blow up TSM. It was really close. Tetis was incredibly close to being able to kill TF, but is not able to find it. Now Sunny gonna try look for something. Maybe he just steals our red buff as a consolation prize. He's gonna go in blind. They're gonna see him over the wall.
He's going into the Baron pit. Sunny, you're an absolute mad lad. There's no way.
Wait.
Flashes out.
Oh.
It was so close. He at least gets 1 kill for the
Mikey's
effort.
here. He just
Okay,
in.
Mikey teleports in and into his death, unfortunately. There, SBTC, they get the Baron. And Alex, they also got the bottom inhibitor turret. SBTC, they get their gold lead back on top of
The
it.
conga line, the power of the conga line is not just reserved for one team. It is for everybody. It is all inclusive. TSM, you want to get in on this dance? Well, here you go. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah, that's the shuffle. We call that one, yeah, I guess conga line works.
It works.
You don't really go backwards in a conga line.
Maybe, but it depends on the movement.
It's all about Tetis right now. TSM, that's their big hope here. 6-1-2 on the Jax, got shut down at the Dragon fight, but still has been a menace in these, little skirmishes in these picks that TSM has been able to find. But if SBTC play clean from this point forward with this Baron buff and Super's putting pressure bot lane, you have to consider them here as, favorites to just close out the game right now. It's going to be a miracle for TSM.
Yeah, even if they find this pick on the Unero, I don't expect them to be able to do much. They're getting pulled across the map. They have Baron plus the Ziggs pick for Kurol. It's just making these turrets melt like butter in front of their eyes.
And Carlito doesn't even take that death sentence. You know that there's no chance that your team follows up fast enough to get that. Tetis is going for the split push here as the Jax. I mean, this is, again, what Hueva has showed us you can do on this pick in the jungle, and we'll at least get a turret for it. But, the base is just getting shredded. SBTC with this Baron, they're getting way more.
TSM, without any wave clear, really can't do much, and it's that ultimate follow!
Far forward, but he's got the GA, and he's got so much damage. Maybe he's gone too far, though. Sunny getting a lot traded back. Mikey goes for the engage now, but just immediately knocked up. Doesn't even get the moonfall off. Tetis has joined in, but also shredded down. SBTC, they're gonna do it. They had a rough start, but they're making a statement to the fans. Did you keep the faith? As SBTC are on to the Nexus. TSM are defending. Tetis with a couple more hits. TF's down, but the Nexus falls, and SBTC moved to knockout.
They finish it, and they finally find a 2-0. Their first sweep of Horizon Cup is in the last day in their last match. An incredibly close series, even though, it's been a fun run to watch SBTC, and now we get to see them go up against Team Secret yet again. So far, the history between those two teams, it has been all SBTC favored, and we're seeing a Team Secret who's also starting to surge here in Horizon Cup. Man.
And I again want to highlight, it's with different looks this time. SBTC played that same kite back Ezreal Janna with the Diana Renekton style. They didn't get that Riven in the first game, but the Nunu still works. And then game number 2 here, they come out with a much more aggressive composition. Multiple knockups. They threw the Yasuo in there here for Julie, and
Gets a win.
it gets a win. Yasuo has a win at Wild Rift Esports, everybody. My goodness. But also Yanero. Props to Yanero. Even in this game 2, didn't get that massive lead, wasn't ahead, was still 1v1 in Sunny in the side lanes.
It was really, really dangerous if you look at this composition. SBTC, smiles on the faces of the players. You can't see it, obviously staying COVID compliant with the masks there. We get to see the selfie. And as we get to see this incredibly happy moment, throwing up all of the peace signs, I love this. I just love how cool that they're playing it in the back. They're just like, we are cool guys. You don't even have to look at this.
Oh, the lip bite.
Yep.
Oh, we got a lip bite in there too.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get one more.
One more.
Do we get another lip bite? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
there it
stay
is.
quiet. Let's stay quiet. I love it. Okay, I guess I do want to take a look. I know the desk will probably touch on it a little bit, but TSM, this is the end of their run.
Yep.
The LATAM region have been finally knocked out of the Horizon Cup, but looking good while doing it. Even Ebro finding some games against their opponents. And TSM, who I know some of the analysts were also talking about kind of being flip-flop on some of their predictions, were still underdogs here.
Exactly. TSM came into this event, and some analysts, I think like 1, maybe 2, had them getting out of groups.
Yes.
But a lot of people, myself included, I mean, I was obviously, you can see I was a Tribe fan from the beginning.
And look at how that went.
That didn't work out too well for me. But TSM have performed exceptionally well. Brazil can be proud of this performance here, especially, I mean, I know that this is a rough way to close it out, but SBTC, this is a surge. This is now
100%.
looking like the team that we were promised coming into the tournament as potential favorites.
That's all we can hope, right? And for TSM fans, all the Brazilian fans, it's been awesome to have you guys. And I'm looking forward to what we get from them because they were able to push some of our best teams in KT Rolster. And now SBTC, we're obviously not able to find a win in the series, but I'm looking forward now to what we see in knockouts.
Competitive game too, for sure. But that's it for the first match. That's it for TSM's run. But SBTC move on to knockouts. Let's send it over to the analysts to break that one down.
Thank you very much, Kangas. Look at that. Beating North America, beating TSM seems to be the boon for international success. This time it's for SBTC. They came out firing and looked pretty good here, Smacks. And let's start with the draft.
Can't believe you're throwing to me with that. The draft was pretty nice for SBTC. They finally got a win on Yasuo. It's now 1-7 instead of 0-7.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, Yasuo coming out, being a pick that had made some huge plays. I think it was earlier Z had it and had some huge plays, but was able to finally get that first win.
Yeah, I feel like the setup was really good for SBTC as well. The Lee Sin kicks were awesome to see. And then they also have the standard Gragas that I believe the casters were saying is a really standard pairing with this Yasuo in League of Legends PC. It's been there for years and years, so to see that transition into the mobile version is very cool.
And, you know, one thing that has definitely been standing out in all of the matches, this is Lee Sin. Like, Lee Sin has been so great and such a great setup here. Why is it even more deadly in TF's hands here, Riku?
Yeah, I feel like it also meshes well with what they wanted to do. I mean, there is also that Gragas coming from Akino to set up for the last breaths, but there's also the Dragon's Rage, just as the casters had mentioned. And I really want to touch upon, you know, on top of the Yasuo that they could do, I also like the Ziggs pick here because you have poke to match the Varus on the opposite side with TSM, and you also have so much zoning because you could do against the Quadri melee comp. There's the Fiora, there's the Jax, there's the Diana, and there's the Thresh, basically. So as long as Kirill goes front to back, it's going to be very difficult to penetrate the backline unless TSM creates this really cool flank. But Kirill's consistent positioning has been very key, especially in objective fights. I mean, it looked pretty close. You still have to respect the scaling coming from TSM. Jax on Tedis was just so huge at this point. But SBTC's team fighting at around the Dragon fight was really key here onto securing the game win.
Right, and it didn't start that way. As we take a look at the highlights from that last game, it started off looking like, oh no, like SBTC is going to run away with it. but TSM did a great job staying close throughout.
They really did. They definitely made it a contest here for SBTC. They made them work for it, which is all you can really ask when you are that far down in the early game. The Fiora ended up working out really well. The Jax ended up working out really well. You could see inklings of what could be a late game win for them. Just ended up being the case that SBTC could afford to make those mistakes, could afford to make those errors because they were so far ahead in the early game, and because you can see team fights like this work out off of that draft that we mentioned before.
Riku?
Yeah, it's a really, really close fight again. I was talking about, again, Tetanus, who's able to be unstoppable at one point, but, you know, SBTC, their target prioritization, everything from their macro to their micro decisions have been really, really solid in this series.
So, SBTC, they come back. Seems like the confidence is back in form. They've now found Yunero's form as well, which was super important. To be honest, I didn't know Yunero's form existed, but here he is contributing multiple times and now have multiple ways to carry throughout this. So what's next for SBTC as they move to the knockout stages, Max?
I think the casters touched on it in that last game, or the first game, but that first Renekton game for Unero was his best that we've ever seen of him. And that is a huge look for SBTC moving forward. If they can keep performances like that for him alongside Kirol having really great weak side games on the Ziggs, on the Ezreal, maybe other things that he can show us as well, this is a multifaceted team, and it is along those same lines that we had, along the same expectations that we had for SBTC coming in.
Riku?
Yeah, I gotta say, you know, again, they had a very rough start, so it's so nice to see them back in form, and every single lane has, again, are very, very solid.
All right, and so just before we close out the chapter here on TSM, or before we close out, let's close out the chapter on TSM. Obviously, making it this far and have had some of the best games in the tournament, just weren't quite able to turn the corner here at the end. What were your thoughts on the Brazilian squad?
Well, I did predict them to win. Didn't end up working out, so that's a little bit of a bummer for my analytics personally. But yeah, for TSM, like you said, they had some really solid games all throughout the tournament. I think for this one, SBTC just had that game plan. They took away all of the circles, back to back to back, the Jarvan, the Galio, the Camille. And it ended up being that they really did heavily rely on those picks, and they didn't have a secondary strategy coming into this one that worked against SBTC. So props to SBTC there, and props to TSM for showing us how far they could stretch that strategy, because they really did have some of those strongest games of the tournament.
Yeah, they definitely did. One of the most passionate teams with one of the most passionate team fan bases weren't quite able to get past the next step, but I'm sure they're going to be coming back ready to go in future tournaments. Let's step away, but when we come back, we'll have La Tigress with Unero for our post-game interview. You don't want to miss it.
Everyone, to the post-match interview. SBTC have secured their spot in the knockout stage. What was the reaction from you and the rest of the team after such a victory?
Xin được chúc mừng các bạn đã có được cơ hội để bước vào vòng thi đấu tiếp theo. Cảm giác của mọi người như thế nào sau khi mình đã có được chiến thắng này?
Thì cảm giác thì rất là vui, tại vì ở đây cũng giống như sinh tử của team em trong cái vòng này.
I'm overwhelmed in happiness because like this win today is incredibly important for us.
It's so important to securing that spot. And I want to learn a bit more about your journey here. You've played with SBTC in the past, but stepping in for the Horizon Cup, what has that been like for you?
Bạn ấy muốn hỏi nhiều hơn về cái hành trình mà mình đã thi đấu cùng với SBTC. Bạn đã cùng với đội tuyển thi đấu để đến được với Horizon Cup, thì cái hành trình ấy đã như thế nào đối với bạn?
Nói chung là giống như từ nghèo mà thành giàu sang vậy đó. Ý là đi từ lúc mà chưa có gì đến bây giờ.
So it's been like a life-changing opportunity for me. It like I was nothing, and then like I was stick with the team, and then this is just like a dream to me.
Oh, and it was such a dream getting to watch you play. A lot were commending your performance here. What was it like laning against Sony and having to absorb a lot of the pressure that TSM were throwing your way?
Thì ngày hôm nay bạn cũng đã thi đấu rất là tỏa sáng, có rất là nhiều những cái lời bình luận liên quan đến cái sự thể hiện của bạn. Bạn cảm thấy như thế nào khi mà đối đầu với tuyển thủ Sony và khi mà mình cũng phải gánh chịu rất là nhiều những áp lực như vậy?
Thì nói chung là đánh không đúng thực lực của em thôi, chứ đánh đúng thực lực của em thì đội này không là gì hết.
So actually, I wasn't really performed to my fullest potential in the last few days. So if I can reach to my own potential, like this team is like really like nothing to me.
Now, your next team, though, is going to be a pretty substantial one to face. You're facing off against Team Secret. It's the rematch from your qualifying games. How do you feel that they have been performing here at Horizon Cup compared to the last time your team faced off against them?
Với chiến thắng lần này thì đội sẽ tiếp tục đối đầu với Team Secret. Thì bạn cảm thấy rằng là họ đã có những cái sự thay đổi như thế nào xuyên suốt cái thời gian vừa qua so với cái lần cuối cùng mà mình đã chạm trán với đội tuyển này?
Em thấy thì họ cũng bắt kịp với meta và đánh kỹ năng hơn. Em mong là team em cũng sẽ lấy lại được phong độ và đánh thắng như ở vòng Super Cup.
So I think they are really good at this meta, and they are very skillful players. I really hope that like our team can like get it all together so that we can defeat them again.
I know a lot of us are looking forward to that rematch. Congratulations again on making it to the knockout stage, and thanks for joining me. More Horizon Cup to come, everyone. You don't want to miss any of the action we have. Stay tuned.